Everybody, the Hoonigan HQ is finally complete, and in this video I'm going to give you guys the full tour. So let's go. Let's start our tour over here in the offices. So I really wanted to capture as many authentic details to the actual Hoonigan Racing HQ to make it feel as authentic as possible. Some of the things I did was I tried to replicate the colors by going the cyan and the lime green with the light gray separations between the containers. I used plates and these little Technic pieces here to create that wood, I don't know what you would call it, like awning look. We'll start over here in this corner. As you can see, we've got some posters on the wall here, seating and benches, the kitchenette area with, it's hard to zoom in close enough, but if you look, they are screen grabs of the skateboard deck pieces that were used for the countertops on both counter areas. And in the back there is a Monster Energy drink station and a few other details that just kind of bring this area of the headquarters to life. Then as you come closer to the office, you can see some details I've added, like you have way back in the corner here, you've got the shredded tire from his X Games second place. You've got the same poster that was used. In the office section, you've got the fluorescent lamp light fixture, the 1552 tarmac wheels for the meeting office table, and then you can kind of see all the way in the back the big full rally wrap for the wall. Moving on over to his product display area, it's got the colored chairs, the DC trophy case in the corner, and then some assorted knickknacks and products and stuff. So we just built those onto the shelves as well. Then as you work your way up, you've got the racing simulator out on the deck with the Dirt 3 video game. And you can see up here he's got his office, desk, and then the 43 number on the glass front and rear. We had to replicate the Hoonigan Racing logo, and all this stuff I tried to find online, and then just tried to replicate all the posters and everything as close as I could just based on photos I found. Then over here we have the Hoonigan Racing ping pong table. That's actually kind of one of my favorite little pieces I added to this, and you just have the poster of the Snowdrift Rally right next to it. I was able to find just almost the right angle for the table. I was able to screen grab it and manipulate it in Photoshop to recreate the graphics. And then you've got the table laid here, the ping pong paddles, and the ping pong ball on top of here. Moving up into this section over here, we tried to recreate the catwalk and the tinted glass all the way through. You got the table up top, and then back here in the corner you've got a little sitting area with a few more pieces of memorabilia. Then all the way on the back wall here, way down in here, if you bring the model out, you can see we tried to replicate the Ain't Care wall on the side. And then most of these buildings up here are hollow. And you can see we got the checkered floor in the back. And I kept all of these buildings basically, so they're not attached to the base at all. So if I ever wanted to move this into a larger space, expand the diorama, etc., all these are able to be taken apart, moved around easily, and I can expand it further if I ever wanted to in the future. So that's pretty much the lay of the land here for the office space. So next we're gonna transition over here to the mechanics area, and I'll walk you through that. So over here on this section, we've just got another collection of the containers, railings, and then I had to go and find the different sponsor livery decals for this container right here. I tried to make both this section and this section that's reminiscent of like the 2013-14 era, like when he first revealed the Hoonigan HQ and made this more of a public fixture. So I know that the racing logo changed over the years, and then obviously these sponsors have changed as he picked up different ones throughout his career. But this is reminiscent of right around that 2014 era. And then you've got the big wraparound snap-on toolbox set with custom cut graphics that I put on the sides and the front. You got a selection of tools there to the back, a little jack, tools in the corner, and then you've got a selection of wheels. So you've got the Gym 4 1552 Tarmacs, and then some more like rallycross-esque looking wheels on a tire machine out here. And so when you bring it all together, it makes one really, really nice display piece. The only unfortunate thing, like if I could change anything, I would add more details to the front and rear of this building just because it looks a little blocky. But in reality, this would be up against the big part of the building, so this would be up against a wall. And technically, I think it goes through a door here out to this shop, so there would be more separation. So we're kind of combining two areas of a much larger warehouse into one facility just to make one display piece. And like I said, looking at just brick walls isn't very interesting, but it's at least accurate because these would be the edges of the big warehouse where this is all based in. But the big thing you're probably curious about is all the cars that we use for the display. So I'm going to give you a rundown of each model that I used to make this piece and tell you a little bit about them. So let's go ahead and bring that lineup up. There were 4 cars that I selected to put in the display, and it kind of basically chronologically goes through his career, starting with the Ford era. I started with the Ford era just simply because that's roughly about the time that the headquarters would have been built, and then chronologically we went from there. So the last one would obviously be the Hoonatron. This was a model I got instructions from NV Mox, and there was a link to the sticker kit as well. So I bought all the pieces, and then I had the rims commissioned from GT Korea Cars, and they did a really good job. And then the printed tires, the proxies, are from Brick Visions. The stickers turned out great. It was a really, really nice build. So that was a really good set of instructions to pick up. Then on to the Hoona truck. Again, rims, GT Korea Cars, printed Toyo tires. All the paint on all these rims here I did myself. All these rims come blank gray, so you have to paint them yourself. So I did have to do like the little detail to add his signature little offset stripe on the spokes. And then KMP Mox actually has an alternate version to build this out of the Dominic Toretto Charger. So if you get that, you can basically build this. Now, there has been a lot of modification I've done on my part, primarily back here in the bed. Added some details, changed up some colors, made the wing a little bit narrower to fit within the bed rails. And so I had to, so while these stickers all were from Brick Visions, I had to create a custom Hoonigan tail spoiler logo just because I wanted it to be a little bit narrower to fit, because the other instructions show it going out past the bed rails and I wanted it to be a little bit smaller. Then on the back, you've got the trailer hitch, and I went with translucent bricks to make the taillights look a little bit more realistic. And then up here, I did my own custom turbo setup with the custom cowl, reworked the grill to make it look a little bit more like the Ford truck that I wanted. So it was a really good starting spot for the build. And like I said, I was able to give it my own custom touch, which I kind of enjoyed. And then from there, I put like a roll cage inside of it and stuff like that. So did a few little things to this one to make it my own, and I was really happy with how it turned out. The stickers from Brick Visions were pretty killer. I do enjoy the way the livery looks. These fenders here, so you notice they have stickers on them. This style of fender is the hardest to apply custom stickers to. They tend to want to pull up, but I've been reworking them down over several different weeks and months, just trying to get them to stick, and they are finally starting to adhere. But versus, say, like the Hoonigan, that has that full wraparound fender, the stickers actually adhere to these much better. And then this V2 Hoonigan was from K_Lego_R. I think I'm getting that right, on Rebrickable. So he had the instructions for this. Again, stickers, Brick Visions, tires, Brick Visions, rims, GT Kriya car. Again, I kind of reworked the turbo setup for this. You can see how I used like the lightsaber ends and stuff to get the turbos the way I wanted them to look. I wanted them to sit flush against the hood here and then come back up onto the windshield with the turbo dumps right here. And then I added the cowl for it as well. And I added like a little handbrake inside and stuff like that. Just some things to kind of, again, spice this model up, give it a little bit of my own flair. But I mean, all these models here that you can build yourself, I think they're really well done. And actually, I know Lego's going to be releasing a Hoonatron next year. Well, they're calling it the E-Tron, but I'm sure it's going to be a Ken Block themed racing car for the Speed Champions line. So I'm really curious to see how Lego does in relation to this, because I can't really see them doing much better, to be honest. I mean, this is about as accurate as you can get. But I'll probably still pick up the Lego version too, just to compare. But these three models, they're easily available. You can get really good sticker kits and links to the wheels and everything, and you can make them look just as good, if not better, than this. But then the last car was something I really wanted to do just from the start of this, and this was his Gym 5 Fiesta. And this one was a really big challenge for me. So what I started with is I went and based the build on the 6-wide Fiesta rally car that Lego came out with in the beginning of Speed Champions. So I had that car, kind of looked at the instructions, figured out how I could change it just in little ways. So it's changing up the wing and little pieces of the body to make it more like this version of the Fiesta versus... So this was the Mark 7, I believe, Fiesta. And then the one that Lego based their model on was the Mark 8. And so there was some subtle changes I wanted to make this look a little bit more accurate to the model that Block would have used. Another big challenge I had for this model was there were no stickers for this. So everything on this model, I had to recreate the livery in Illustrator and Photoshop just to try and fit on the brick surfaces I was working with. So I was just able to look at some photos, find some similar looking splatters and cracks and stuff like that online, and put them into a vector form, then take them into Photoshop. And then I was able to find the logos individually and then try and lay them over top of the livery I was making. And then I had to measure out each of the brick pieces to make sure that we were within the ballpark. So when I cut these out, I'll throw up a screen grab of what the stickers look like when I got them in. And this was for the Hoonigan HQ2. So I basically go to Vistaprint when I make all my stickers. I print them out on those sticker, they're like a bumper sticker template, and I have to hand cut every one of them out. So it's a little bit more involved. You have to be a lot more patient when you're cutting stuff out, and you really have to measure the surface area of what you're going to be laying them on. And it really came out pretty well. So there's a lot of details in this. I tried to capture like his American flag vent scoop, the rally livery itself, and then if you look on the wing here, let me see if I can get it to focus. So remember, everybody, always hoon responsibly, thanks to Hoonigan. So that was like a really small sticker, but I felt like it was a really important part of the model, or of his original car, and I wanted to make sure that we incorporated that onto it. And I actually went to the Henry Ford Museum, where this car is actually on display as part of their permanent collection, and tried to take as many reference photos as I could and just check out the car in person. It was definitely worth seeing. And then I had GT Korea Cars. I commissioned him to make custom wheels for this too. So this is where I got now 2 sets of 1552 tarmacs. I painted them the base color with this fluorescent green, and then you can kind of see I went in with a little detail marker and tried to make the DC stripe, which was actually kind of like a cracked versions of it. So that was really hard to make really small, so I just kind of basically dabbed a paint pen on the spokes as lightly as I could to try and replicate that. On this side, you have a contrasting wheel, so this side was always a gray wheel with the similar color, so I sprayed the green first and then went back over it with a gray paint just to cover up over it to give it as an authentic look as possible. And you'll see like I've redone the grill and stuff to kind of give that Pac-Man style that was known on the Mark 7 Fiestas. The lights are up here. The rear tail lights are back in this direction. But overall, this is probably one of my favorite models. Like, I just felt that doing this whole display was going to be incomplete without one of the RX 43 Fiestas, because this is just really what he became synonymous for, was this car. He did so many Gymkhanas representing under the Ford brand. Like this, I mean, beyond the Subaru, which a lot of people still know and love him for, I think this car right here is actually one of his more famous ones. And a lot of people would argue that the Hoonigan was more of his iconic car, but I mean, he did so much with this platform, I had to incorporate it in some way. And so let's go ahead and I'll just put these in the display, kind of how I have them, and then we'll show you the whole thing as a whole. This area right here allows me to set 3 vehicles up in the space, and then I can kind of slide 1 vehicle into this main display area. I was highly debating whether I wanted to put the Fiesta here or the Hoonigan, because they were both prominently displayed in this area. I ended up going with the Hoonigan for this area, just because squeezing 3 into this gets a little tight, so I always put the Hoonatron, back it in here. See, I tried to display each of the vehicles by their most interesting angle, so I thought the front of the Hoonatron looked the best to me. And then since I've put the Fiesta on these rally stands, I always just kind of move it on in here so it acts like it's in service. From there, I'll go ahead and I add my Hoonatruck in here in the corner, so kind of at an angle, so you can see when you come in to the display, you can see all 3 cars. I really love the livery. I love the whole look basically of the Hoonatruck, so I love having you be able to see the whole side display of the graphics and everything. And so you can see all 3 cars from the bay here, and then if I ever wanted to, I could change up the wheels and stuff like that and the look for the Fiesta and stuff like that. And last but not least, I always just put roll the Hoonigan into its display spot here. And so then you have the whole picture. It comes together just like that. Really just become one of my favorite display pieces that I have in my collection. So it sits right underneath the big Rolex 24 garage. Then I've got my small little 90s dioramas that I made out of some of my old sets, and it just sits on the shelf quite nicely in my office here. So then I have a couple little mocks, like I have the Land Rover model that I customized, and then that's got some GT Korea car wheels on it, and then my Datsun 240Z that I kind of gave a race livery to. And then I have my custom VW T1 transporter with my Caterham and a couple Johnny Thunder minifigures. And then if you pull back on the shelf, you can really just see, I just love the pop of color that the Hoonigan HQ gives to the whole shelf, and I really enjoy having it in the office. This is a really fun project for me to undertake. I was glad I was able to utilize this shelf space for something kind of unique like this. If you have any questions about any of the techniques I use to build, just post them down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer as much as I can. But that for now is my latest build, and right now I'm actually out of space to create much more at this point. So hopefully I'll be posting some more content here in the near future. I just got to find some place to put it. But until then, we'll just see you guys in the next video.